Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is a Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines, and most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. It is Friday. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. Friday is Q&A day. That's what I mean by we made it. I don't care about the weekend because I work weekends, not all the time, but still. It's Q&A day, you guys. So if you have any transportation-related sales or operations questions, drop them in the DMs or in the chat, excuse me, and I will answer them live on this show. I already got a couple on queue for some individuals who reached out earlier this week. But drop them in the DM or in the chat, you guys, excuse me, and I'll get to them live. Before we go any further, though, you guys, as always, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers. And we all like making money too, right? Because that's what you get with VHub is you get on there, you get some of their trailers, you get paid to move those trailers. And that's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading those trailers out. So if you're a power-only carrier right now, you can go on there, you get paid to move the trailer, and you can load that out as well and get some additional revenue. So what they're working on right now, you guys, is they got some out in San Diego, California. They have 6 swing door 53-foot dry vans needing to get to Columbus, Ohio, and they pay $990 US. And then they also have 3 in San Diego going to Indianapolis, Indiana. Same thing, 53-foot swing doors, and the same thing pays $990 on that. And then they have some cross-border ones needing to go from Evansville, Wisconsin to Mississauga, Ontario, and those pay $500 US for that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My man, Zach Lonergan and Stacy Steen, my friend, she'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. All right. Tracy St. Clair, what's up? Watching over on YouTube. Good morning. Adolfo Rodriguez, buenos dias. Let's get some answers. That's right. You guys got the questions. Drop them in the live stream. I will answer them for you. John Radvansky, happy Friday, people. I will not be working. Ooh, Pontiac car show this morning. John's got a sick Pontiac that he has up. That's on your, is it your YouTube profile pic, John? You got that out there? Ashley Duran needs 8 trailers in Sacramento. Ashley, what kind of trailers do you need? Do you need them dropped in there or not? I can definitely put you in contact with my friends over at VHub if you'd like. If you do, just say yes and or DM me your email address and I'll put you in contact with them. Let me see here. What do we got going on? Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on in the industry right now, you guys, from a news perspective. About everything I'm just not going to comment on it because I don't really think it's applicable to us who are out there watching, especially with the people who watch this show that are building their businesses and putting themselves out there to grow and everything. What's going on at some large publicly or some large companies, leadership shakeup. I don't necessarily think that's going to have any effect on at least my business in the freight world. So I'm not really going to talk on that, but let me see here. John, that's right. He's got on his YouTube, he's got that 71 Le Mans Sport with a nice 455 under the hood. Let's go. Let's go, John. I love that car, man. I remember seeing that the first time. And I think you posted a couple of photos of that as well on LinkedIn a while ago. Zach Lonergan, Ashley Duran, meet Ashley. Ashley needs 8 trailers in Sacramento, Zach. if you could please reach out to her and help her out. Zach is with VHub, and he can help you out with that, Ashley. All right. So yeah, back to it. It was a good week this week, just from like freight market wise, for example. Definitely starting to see more and more opportunities present themselves. I'm going to be out on the road later this month. I'm going to be visiting some existing shippers, and I'm also going to be traveling out. I'm going out to Houston, Texas, for Ramel's. Ramel Watley's puts on Freight Fest every single year, and I'm going out there and I'm hosting a panel out there. I'm part of a panel about freight brokerage. And, but I'm going to be out there, and I try and leverage all of my trips that I do, to be able to go out and see prospects as well. So like, that's really what I've been working on here these last couple of weeks, is getting out in front of as many people I can in Houston and the surrounding areas to try and set up some insight visits. Right. I think that's going to be the most of it. I think people are going to go back to that being the most effective tool, is getting in front of some of these individuals in person. And if you can do it, right, even if it's just you driving out there wherever you can own, like I talk about owning your backyard. I mean, because that's essentially what I do here in Arizona is I want to set insight visits with people. I'll drive anywhere in the state of Arizona to sit down with somebody, even if it's for 5 minutes, right? I just want people to know I'm a real person. I want to be able to speak on my capabilities. I want them to be able to feel A, my passion for the industry, but B, the care I will deliver for their freight. And I can't ever think of a better way of doing it besides being in front of people, and looking at them across the table or whatever. So it's like, wherever you're at, get out there and meet new people. Like I said, I try in my best, if time permits, when I travel, to set up in-person video visits in every city that I go to. And that's kind of my MO with a lot of this stuff is I'll extend my trips out an extra day, to be able to have a free day, to be able to go out and drive around and set up some stuff to meet people in person. And I would highly recommend that, because the industry's, the market's shifting, you guys, whether you want to admit it or not. It's going to look very different here in the coming months. I can't say like when it's going to officially switch back to a carrier market, but I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing pushback on price, and especially because fuel is going up. Fuel is not stopping right now, right? It's up like 70 cents a gallon nationwide over like the last 7 to 8 weeks. So like the market's shifting, you guys, and don't get caught in a position where I know I have in my career, when you're out there and it's easy to book freight right now, because you can kind of, depending on where it is, for the most part, obviously the rural areas don't necessarily bode with the most capacity, but like if it's fairly easy to cover freight right now, it's easy for everybody. And what happens is it's there's going to be that inevitable pushback. And if you're not willing to adjust to the market, that's when service failures start to increase. That's when that exposure for the market starts to increase. And then that's when guys like me, who are prospecting every single day, are going to get their opportunity with your customers, because that's the way it goes. And if you think I'm the only one who thinks this way, you are wrong. There are a lot of sharks out there who are just waiting for you to hold out too far and too long, and then it turns into a service failure, and then they come in the door and they swoop that market share, and it happens before you know it. And then all of a sudden you went from getting 5 loads a week or a day or whatever that looks like, and then it's cut in half, and then and eventually you're just out the door, right? Because there's people out there who will work harder than you and who care more about the customers and will work more diligently to ensure that the loads are covered, and they will bring the market shifts and everything to their customers, and they'll actually be a partner in those moments. So it's like, if you want to just, use an example of when, because you might be like, well, when's it going to happen? When's it going to shift? Realistically, I bet next year, all of 2024 is going to be a carrier market out after Q1. I think next year is going to perform like a very standard year in freight. Q1 is going to be low, and then it's going to pick up in Q2. There's going to be then the ebbs and the flows of the summer months around the holidays. And then Q4 is going to be gangbuster in the holiday. I really think that's what I think next year is going to look like. So if you're in this position right now, you got a good like 6-month heads up, right? And don't don't forget who said it first, right? Don't forget who said it first, because like I had mentioned a couple of times this week, and I'll mention it again, mark my words. All right. Mark my words. You will see these posts next summer on social media that the carriers need to, think about relationships when, they really need to think about relationships and everything else. And these are the same motherfuckers who are posting $1 a mile right now. And then they're all going to cry and change their tune next summer. Just watch. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. And that's just the reality of things, you guys. Dylan Turner, what's up, brother? He's watching over on YouTube. Adolfo Rodriguez says a day without prospecting equals 2 weeks of sales lost. A week without prospecting equals 6 months of sales lost. That's a good way of looking at it, man. I think that every day you're not talking to shippers. Like if you're just sitting there all day, and again, like as you're building, I want to be clear, as you're building your business and new opportunities are presenting yourself with one customer, things fall between the cracks. Don't beat yourself up. You're right. Like just continue to show up the next day and put the work in. But it's one of those situations where if you don't prospect ever, or you take a week off, it's really hard to get back into that routine and do that. I just don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. Let me see here. So let's get into the first question. Steve posted vhubapp.com out there. But no, I think that, again, when you're out there and you're prospecting, and then that real time opportunities are going to come about, you got to have an ability to get the most accurate pricing out there, right? And I literally use green screens every single day. You guys, the loads I'm picking up today were one because of green screens. The loads I picked up this week were one because of green screens. I'm seeing a massive increase in awarded freight here over these past couple of months. And it's very noticeable. It's very real time. It's very accurate. And I use this a lot. And, I'm using it. I bid out multiple RFPs on it and everything. And we're winning business. So, again, that's what I can say with them. You guys hit them up, greenscreens.com and / the freight coach. And yeah, you guys just do it. Greenscreens.ai / the freight coach, excuse me. Do it. You guys hit them up. It's the most real-time freight rates that I've ever experienced. And again, I know how much freight I'm moving with it. I know how much freight I'm bidding on it and the projects that I've been awarded and everything. And it's worth it, right? It's worth it, you guys, 100%. Zach says, I agree. I predict that we see some very lean companies that run real efficiency scoop up market share of loads. To quote Dion, the dogs are going to dominate. Yes, when the industry starts to ramp up. Amen to that. And then the carriers that are communicative, tech-friendly, and timely will also win the market. Yeah, man. I like it. All right, first question I got. This one was about establishing business credit. I recently started my freight brokerage, and I'm realizing very quickly that I need to build it up after starting my company here. So that's something that I didn't know at all when I started my business. I didn't know that business credit was entirely separate. I learned a lot, right? And it's tough when you're in those early stages of building, and especially because you got to put a lot of personal guarantees on some shit. I know the first lease that I signed for my business, I had to put some personal guarantees behind it to be able to get approved for it because I didn't have a business, right? Like it was kind of just fucking at that point. I didn't really have a lot of revenue coming in. I had revenue, but like not a lot to where like a leasing place would be like, yeah, you're good. And then on top, so like I looked into and I got a couple of business credit cards. I personally use Chase Bank for everything. And then their Ink card is what I use for my business. And I put damn near everything on that. And then I also got another one. So my CPA and my bookkeeper, they had both mentioned about opening up a credit card at competing banks, right? And not just having it at one, because it was, I don't know, I forget the reasoning behind it. But it was just to help elevate it, and having multiple business credit cards at one bank. They said it was like slower or something like that. So I have a Citi card as well. I fly American Airlines all the time. because they have a hub here in Phoenix. So I got an American Airlines business credit card as well. And I've been leveraging that to expedite building my business credit. And then also I was able to again, when you have a company and if you're, your cell phone and everything else, that there's certain bills that I'm not going to tell you which ones to do. But for me personally, there's a lot of things that you use in your personal life that you also use just as much, if not more, in your business, and transferring those over to your business that's another way to help build all of that up right away. And then another thing too, I don't carry any debt in my business. So if I charge $7,000 in a month, I pay $7,000 off at the end of the month. I pay that shit off all the time because I want to build up flawless business credit, because there will come a point in time where I'm going to have to get like a line of credit and everything else. And if I want $100,000 line of credit because, to help cover payroll and everything else, because, if receivables start to age, your payables can't age, right? Like you can't fucking push out payroll. You can't push out all of those commitments. So utilizing an established line of credit is something that's very good to take advantage of. So it's like building up to that point. And then in the coming years, I'm going to be looking into buying a commercial building, right? And I've been doing a lot of stuff, a lot of research on the back end on that as well about buying a commercial building. And then, obviously with the tenants and everything, I'm not looking to like make money in real estate or anything like that, but there's a lot of benefits to owning that property as well. So to build up to that point, those are the steps that I'm really working on. Is where I'm at right now. Next, it's going to turn into a line of credit from the bank. That's going to help build my stuff up while I'm building my business and everything else. And then eventually getting into buying a commercial property and everything. So it's a process. It's a buildup. And I had somebody reach out to me, and again, I'll wrap up this question there. I had somebody reach out to me about, and I'm going to be talking to them next week about possibly doing a podcast on how can you become factorable as a business, because the factoring side of things is let me see here. The factoring side of things is whatchamacallit. Building that up, and sorry, I read Steve's comment and got thrown off. I fucking have squirrel syndrome when I see the chats pop up sometimes. But no, building up, the credit and then becoming factorable and everything else. We're probably going to be doing a podcast on that soon. And I'm trying to get some of my friends in the factoring side of things to come on as well, because I've been asked that a couple of times here recently. So that's kind of to answer that question about establishing business credit. And then Steve Hunt says, not the same thing. Credit they're referring to SPI is providing you for brokerage. So that's a different side of things. So like with SPI, that's I'm an agent for them, and they handle all my back office and stuff like that. They establish, so like when I set up a customer to work with us, we, obviously we extend out credit to every customer, and that they perform all of that stuff from that perspective. And again, SPI is a phenomenal partner from that. Like it is seamless, absolutely seamless from that. And again, I got my direct deposit this Friday from my agent. So just saying. But no, from that perspective, they handle all the back office. They establish credit and what we will extend out credit from there. This question that I was asked though, Steve, was about they were looking to build their business credit up because they had just started their company and they had applied for some things and did not get approved for me because they didn't have actual business credit established. But with what I believe what you're referring to with SPI is the customer credit and how they handle all of that. They ensure that, all the receivables are taken care of from that side. They extend out credit based on the business's credit worthiness. And that's another thing to take into consideration too, you guys, is when you're selling and building up your book of business and everything, you're going to come across that sometimes, and they might not be willing to pay with a credit card or anything like that. Cause I know that there's some other payment terms that people can do is prepaying with credit cards and everything else. But yeah, that's a very real thing as you're going and building up your book of business. Oh, excuse me. Let me see here. Next one I got was, what is life like out on the road? They said, I am new to freight brokerage and I want to better understand the truck driver experience. This is a good question. Obviously, I'm not a truck driver. I come from a family of truck drivers, though. I've spent a lot of time out on the road riding along with my dad as a kid, going cross country with him when I was younger over the summers, doing, and then during the school year, and then riding along local with him in Minneapolis and stuff when I was growing up. So I spent a decent amount of time out there. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to say I'm an expert or anything like that, but I got a little bit of experience there. And I think that this is something that I would love to see more brokers do, is communicate with a local trucking company about doing some ride-alongs, right? Go out there and get that experience, even if it's just local work, riding along your local city, and seeing, going in and out of the docks, getting loaded, offloaded, and then what really goes on out there when they deal with traffic and getting cut off and everything else. It's a lot, right? And it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of individuals. I personally think brokers should do that with drivers. I think they should go out and hang out at the loading docks and see what goes on in the warehouses and everything else, and do that and really educate yourself on the industry as a whole, because there's a lot of moving parts. And, I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and it's just more about like just some of the behaviors that go on in the industry, and how he had booked up a load and then, no communication. He was called back 15 minutes later, after he was awarded the load. And then the broker's like, oh, we covered it. And then they just hung up on the guy. And it's stuff like that. Right. And I think that bringing the human element into it is very key, because that's one thing that a lot of people tend to forget, when you're sitting behind your desk in an air conditioned office, is that people are human beings on the other side of the phone, and they might be at risk of missing out on a kid's event, birthday party, game, stuff like that, because of those things that we do at times, right? And I never sit here and say that I didn't do some of that shady shit, because I did do that shady shit early on in my career, but I learned from it. And I just think that it might change some people's perspectives out there, by actually realizing a lot of those things. And, the next time you don't want to call and verify loading times and appointments and everything else. And, there's some very real things that happen out there. And it can be a very stressful job being away from, especially, I think about, growing up, and, my dad was gone for weeks at a time, right? 2, 3 weeks at a time. He was gone. He missed the birth of my younger sister, countless games, holidays, birthdays, all that shit was missed being out on the road. And, and I know that it's a job and it's a choice that people make to be out there, but think about that the next time you don't want to pick up the phone and call a facility to verify some stuff. That might happen, right? That person might be missing out on a very important event to themselves and their family and everything. And it's a very real side of the industry that nobody really talks about, right? And think about that, because that's a thing, right? Like, how pissed would you be if you had to miss out on a family event that you had scheduled for weeks at a time, and then all of a sudden something happened at work and you can't go, and you find out that it was in your control or somebody's control that could have made that happen to where you could have still attended that event. There's a lot of shit that goes on that isn't talked about, a lot in this industry, about the overall treatment and the overall driver experience and everything that goes. I know there's a lot of people out there who are creating content to try and bring light to that, but I think it's a very timely question, because, next week's driver appreciation week, right? And that's when you start to see a lot of the same posts come out about how important the drivers are and everything else. And they got a picture of the barbecue going on at the company. And then turns out there's not actually any drivers there. It's all the office staff and everything. And I'm just saying that driver appreciation week is kind of a facade for some. And it's very obvious to the drivers out there, because I talk to the drivers and they're aware of it. Right. And I just think that, again, as an industry, we can always do better. And that's what we should be striving for, right? Like I broke down that article about the fake driver shortage and stuff. And, I said we have a retention issue. I think that we all need to do better as an industry to improve the industry. If we want the industry to change, we have to be that change. We can't, like, no one's going to come in, especially we don't want the fucking government coming in and sticking in their claws even further on this shit, right? If you want the industry to improve, if you want the industry to change, it starts with you every single time. And that's what you need to be focused on. If you want things to change, you be the change. That's what I'm doing inside of my organization. I'm going to be the solution. I'm going to be part of the solution. We are doing to the best of our abilities to do the right thing. That is our number one core value inside of my business, is do the right thing. And that's with everything, right? If we can't accommodate a shipment, I will never commit to a shipment that I know that we can't do. And it happened last night, right? I had a customer reach out to me to try and cover a load for him. We worked on it, but we couldn't find capacity. And I told him that, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, we can't find any capacity. I don't want to put you in a bind on this one. And guess what? The customer appreciated our honesty. And that's what happens more times than not, is it's like just admitting what you can and can't do and everything else, and just do the right thing. And I think that for the change that everybody wants, whether it's in this industry or in this country, it starts and stops with you. I mean, I listen to Andy Frisella every single new episode. I'm a member of the RTA Syndicate. I listen to his podcast all the time. He has the greatest one out there. All right. It's called Personal Excellence is the Ultimate Rebellion. He goes a little bit further in that, but that statement is everything. If you want things to improve, you improve. It starts and stops with you every single time. Jamie Parker, what's up, brother? Good morning. And then Adolfo says, classics. This happens in all industries. Office staff usually benefit from the trucker, plumber, etc. Celebration days, they get the barbecue, and the tradesmen are out on the job. I'm not saying you're wrong, Adolfo, at all, man. It's a very common thing out there, it seems, during this time. And it's just like, I look at it like this. If you can, if you're ever out at a gas station or you're at a truck stop traveling or something like that, and you can afford it. I know times are tough right now for a lot of people out there. Shit's real. Inflation's real. People's household expenses are up. I know mine are, because I pay the bills and I see the shit. But buy that driver lunch, or look at that, buy him a cup of coffee. Sister, sorry, Jamie, I apologize. You don't have a profile pic, and I can't see that. I apologize. But and think about that too. Next time that you got a driver on a load for you, you want to appreciate him a little bit, buy him lunch. Uber Eats, send him an Uber Eats credit, or get him a gift card to somewhere. Go a little bit above and beyond. I think those little acts of kindness go a very long way. I mean, I don't go to Starbucks, but I know that those things come through all the time about paying for people's coffee and shit like that. Do that in your business, right? Take $10, if you can, and send digital gift cards. Send them to your drivers. Hey, this isn't much, but I just wanted to appreciate you and buy you a sandwich or something like that. I think it goes a long way. I can't speak for everybody, but I come from a blue collar. I've been in blue collar families, and I know doing little acts of kindness like that mean the world to those individuals. Adolfo says, not hating, but the business must go on. And then full disclosure, he's been the office staff all the time. Yes, buy them lunch on their own. Yeah, I think that there's always something we can do, but that's going to be it for today, you guys. That's Friday, Q&A day. I appreciate the questions. As always, you guys, every single Friday is dedicated to this. So if you have any sales or operations questions, DM them over to me. I will answer them on Friday shows, or drop them in the chat, and we will do that. And as always, you guys, if you guys get value in what you hear, subscribe to the show. That's all I can ask at the end of the day, because if you see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. Ashley Fountain says 2 days in a row where we emphasize the importance of relationships, people. I love it. That's everything, Ashley. Relationships are everything in business. As another guy whose podcast I listen to, Brad Lee, he says it best, is if you want to make more money, shake more hands. And that's true. Get out there and create real relationships with people, real people, not fake people, real people out there. Get out and meet as many people as you can, because that's where all the results are going to be. But that's going to be it, you guys. As always, I'll be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.